Okay, hopefully everything is good. I think so for the most part. Let's check our our YouTube page. Okay, everything is up and running. Perfect. Hopefully. Everything is good. Okay. I apologize if you're going to hear ice splashing in the cup ahead of time, just so that you're aware, because tonight I'm doing something different. Instead of drinking sweet juices late at night, I'm going to be getting cups of ice and just sucking on some water. Be a little bit more healthier. In any case, welcome to SL Models and Talent Agency's evening SLMTA, the purpose and plan for your agency. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. We are going to be digging deep, deep, deep tonight in how the agency industry works and what needs to be done about it. Oh, yeah. There are many, many, many different things that are happening now. This is going to be educational for models too, so that you can understand what agency that you would prefer working with, even as a new face that is out there. I also want to mention in the beginning, like I always do, I am Dr. Samuel Lombardo, the CEO, Executive Director, and agent for SL Models and Talent Agency, LLC. You can actually reach us now at slmtagency@gmail.com or Lombardo S as in Sierra at slmta-agency.com. You can also visit our website at www.slmta-agency.com. See the actual consistency going here? Oh, I love it. You can actually go to Become a Model, the only tab that's at the top that says it, Become a Model. In the drop down, online application, and you can fill out the application, especially if you're a new face actually looking to pursue your dream in the entertainment industry. All right. I will be looking back and forth between YouTube and Facebook right now for our interactive show. Again, this is an interactive show, so that means that you can speak, you can ask questions, you can do many different things. Some of you are probably looking, oh, well, SLMTA is live. Do you actually do you hire models or whatever? Oh, yeah, that's what a model agency is. You're going to figure that out tonight. If you don't figure it out at any point tonight, you're going to figure it out. Okay, I promise you that. Along with the mixes and splashes of my ice that is in my cup. Okay, excellent. I also want to encourage you to subscribe on SL Models and Talent Agency LLC's YouTube channel. That is the gold round icon with the red ring around it. That's the one that I want you to subscribe. Smash that like button if you like the content that I'm giving you, because believe me, there are people out there that are selling this kind of stuff that I'm about to share with you right now. Hello, Jamar. Welcome back. How are you? Excellent, excellent. Okay, so again, it is very, very important that you do that you actually subscribe to the YouTube channel, because we're going to be doing game shows, bingo games, I should say, game shows, live concerts, poetry readings, musical scenarios. Like we have all the licenses that we need, so we're good now. in regards to that. We could even go, as soon as I finally get the sound information set up, I can actually play different USBs and different things of saved music, playlists and different things like that. So you're gonna miss a lot of what YouTube has to offer if you're just stuck on Facebook. So get out of Facebook and find us on YouTube and subscribe today, because a lot is happening. And the only reason that I'm encouraging you to subscribe on YouTube now is because Facebook, we are not planning on putting our live events on it. This is going to be VIP and member only, who will be able to get involved with the YouTube. I have it set up on a sophisticated plan so that we are able to accomplish certain things on certain platforms while other things happen on other platforms. So congratulations. Get ready, follow us, subscribe, and like what you see. All right. And so that is my announcements. Also, if you are encouraged to do so and you would like to support the SLMTA community, go to www.patreon.com/SLMTA. That is www.patreon.com/SLMTA. And there you can support the SLMTA community. Yes, indeed. Not just for the, in fact, we're going to be submitting those membership programs on our Square site as well. Square site is free to use for any agencies. We're going to talk about that tonight. We got oh my God, we got a busy night ahead of us where you can actually learn how to do things, not look fake, not sit there and pretend that you got things that you don't know or doing, you know what I mean? You got the real thing in front of you as to what you need to do for your purpose and your plan for your agency. So that's what we're going to be talking about tonight, for sure, for sure. All right, so that's where you want to submit for the membership. And there is a VIP package. If you go from a Diamond Club member all the way up to the VIP package, you could even get some free merchandise with our brand on it, free of charge, including the shipping. Yes, indeed. So take advantage of that. That is going to be an awesome thing. You will also get VIP status to our red carpet live events as a community member. If not, then when we actually do our virtuals with live events, because that's what we're going to be doing. We're not getting rid of the computer at all, folks. We are not getting rid of the computer. The computer is really what's going to be help expanding what we have. So what's going to happen is, even after COVID, we are going to have our live virtuals. Our live red carpet open calls will be live and virtual. Our live red carpet award ceremony will be live and virtual. Everything is going to be live and virtual. Everything is going to be so fantastic. You don't want to miss a minute of it. I'm telling you, you do not want to miss a minute of it. SLMTA community page, please, by all means, share, subscribe. We are up to near 160 subscribers already. Thank you for those who have subscribed. That is very awesome. We do appreciate it. Now take the next level. Do you want to support the SLMTA community? Let's see if we can do that. Maybe we'll get some winning prizes out of the deal. So subscribe and become a member today for It is yours truly. I appreciate that. And here we go. www.patreon.com/SLMTA. There you are. That is you in the pinned comments there for YouTube. I'm going to pin that right here, right now on the comment for SL Models and Talent Agency, www again, patreon.com/SLMTA. Boom. Cannot miss a minute of it. Become a member today and enjoy the benefits that we have with that. Okay, now without further ado, tonight's topic, because I love, as you all know already, I love to talk, and tonight's going to be one of those nights where I'm going to be talking your head off, and I mean blah, 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 blah. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. In a way, I'm not, but in another way, I'm only kidding. I'm going to be talking you to the point that you will know what you need to do with your agency, or you could take what I'm going to tell you and try to make it into another joke. It's going to be up to you. I'm not going to tell you what you need to do, but you know what you need to do with your agency. So here we go. And this is for those who are interested in opening an agency, a training agency, a coaching center for the entertainment industry, or whatever the case may be. You want to be able to follow these steps. So here we go without further ado. And thank you for that membership indeed. Anytime there is a membership being done while I am here, I am going to thank you for that membership. And if your name is known, I will definitely be able to say your name. So if you got a name attached to that, please, I will recognize you right now on live as you become a member. But thank you to whom that was, and that had just became a member. That is an awesome thing. So we are getting our memberships in, we're getting our subscriptions in. Let's see the subscription poll right now. What do we got going on as we speak right now? Wow, we're getting up to 156. I just gained 3 subscriptions. Just get them popping and rolling. Tonight is a big night. We got some big things to talk about. But first, I want to emphasize something before I even get into this topic. All right. The bill was signed by the president, as you all know, during the East Coast time, prime time period. Okay, probably about 2:00 p.m. So it's in there. The bill was signed. If you're in a low income area and you are an independent contractor, that includes if you are actually a model and you're in the low income area and you could prove that you have losses, which obviously you would if you couldn't get any work within the entertainment industry within the past year, then what are you doing sitting on $5,000? Let's go. I mean, so what's going to happen is when that EIDL gets live, I am going to tell you exactly where to go and to get it. I'm not going to just tell you to go get it like it's open. When it opens, I am going to show you how to get there. So hopefully you have a pen and a paper or something, or just a laptop, and just follow the directions, because I'm going to sign in live and literally do one of my applications. So you will be able to follow me on that, okay, as I'm doing it, because this is something that you would need to know how to do for yourself. All right. And I want to say, if the advantage is there, then don't sit on it. Don't be the donut guy with the coffee on his lap. Just get there and do it. What's the worst case scenario? Oh, you don't qualify. Okay, well, then be prepared to hear that you don't qualify. But the majority of you that already signed with SL Models and Talent Agency, I could tell you that you probably do. All right. Some of you actually are doing pro bono projects just to keep yourself busy. along the way, or is working for a newspaper component or something. I mean, kudos to you that you're even able to find that during the masses that we dealt with in the past year. But in the meantime, pro bono gives you the experience, but it doesn't actually get you the moolah, right? So what you need to do is actually get the moolah, all right? So this would be your chance to make a couple $1,000 on that. And if you actually hadn't done it last year, then get the application in now so that you will have it, because you might be one of those that could get up to 10,000 from last time's event. So this is in addition to, all right? If you need help and you want understanding of how that whole thing goes, then let me know. I know Jamar had questions about that at one point for like his cleaning company or whatever. But for the rest of you, you know, it doesn't matter if you are signed with SLMTA or not. I'm gonna just bring it out live, okay, when that portal opens. But they have up to 28 days from the day that it was signed, which would have been today, starting tomorrow. Okay, starting tomorrow, they got 28 days. So you got 14 days to take care of all that back money that they hadn't already paid yet. That up to 10,000 for everybody, and then the people that whatever, all that stuff. If you want to know information about that, go to LA Late on YouTube and subscribe to him. He will tell you everything about stimulants. Okay, so with that being said, I am so excited about tonight's topic. Now, some of this pertains to the industry by itself, and some of this could pertain to anybody trying to start a business, okay? So if you are, I will let you know what is pertaining to the entertainment industry by itself versus what is not. The first part of this is going to be for really anybody, because I'm going to explain to you the first processes that you basically need before starting a business. That's even before, well, maybe while you're doing the planning, okay? You need to be sure that you have the right licenses for what you are doing. That even includes playing some music in your own office as background while you're in office hours. You need a license for that. Okay. If you're in a state like New Jersey, New York, Illinois, California, Florida, Texas, I think a couple other ones, you're going to need a license just so that you can go ahead and open an agency. But if you do, I know in New Jersey, you need a license, not just a license, but you need to be able to bond the license and bond every agent that's involved in the license. So that means anyone that is involved in your agency would need to be licensed along with the agency itself. I can tell you that in New Jersey at one point, I don't know, maybe the prices have went up. You get your license through regulated business, okay? It might be your state legislature registration. It could be the chief executive office for businesses. It could be any one of those. So I know in New Jersey, and I believe in California, it's something to do with like regulated business, which is the same thing as like employment offices, but it's focused on entertainment, like for models and or talent. All right. Now, do not try to go finagling the system, because I've actually caught businesses where they tried to say, oh, I'm a talent manager, and then they turn around and have a conversation about booking. The minute that you go and say you're booking, the minute you've already put yourself in an audit, okay? Because especially in these states that I was talking about, because you do not want to get involved in any situation with the state. They will close you up and they will freeze everything that's related to that. And then you could possibly have IRS audits as well. It's a big major no-no. All right. The other thing that you would need is liability insurances, maybe a risk management team like SLMTA when we first started, and we still have it. You need to have a risk management team, even if it's just a group of advisors, where it would be like your IRS guy, your CPA. If you're able, I'm not saying this just because I have one and some of you may not, if you're able to find an enrolled agent, they are really more important to your group than even a senior CPA. Why do I say that? Because they are the ones that ultimately, especially if you're running any kind of a nonprofit, usually every 4 years, it comes around that time where they are like, all right, audit time, right? I'm not talking about the audit that you would get like every quarter and you're like, oh, here comes my CPA. It's time to do the audit. Oh boy, oh no. No, I'm talking about the, oh my gosh, the IRS enrolled agents after me. I need to clear up my audit. That's the real oh my God that you need to actually be careful of. So it's best to really get an enrolled agent while they're happy to work with you before they decide saying, oh, well, we're going to audit you, because at that point, you're on the other side of the fence with them, okay? It's a whole nother ballpark, because they're gonna be freezing up accounts, they're gonna be stopping different things. There's certain things that you're not gonna be able to do until they get done the work that they need to do. So do it now while you have the chance to do it, okay? Especially now in the tax season, as we would say. So yeah, and then you want to have a little bit of a legal team, okay? Someone that's actually going to tell you how an agency will be running, because everything that I'm telling you, okay, now I've been in the industry for 25 years, but actually running an agency, the closest that I could say is about 5 years. Now, I have not ran SLMTA for 5 years, but I have worked in and out with different agencies, keeping them confidential, that I basically have worked with. And there are certain agencies where I am not happy about how their agency is set up, which is why I'm trying to explain in tonight's topic the importance of how you need to set up the your agency. Now, I'm not saying this is more of a suggestion, not a objection to whatever it is that you're already doing. If it's for any of those out there that are listening versus those who are new, it's you guys that are new that really need to focus in, because there are some funny business that goes on out there with some of these places. I'm telling you that right now. And I'm going to be so direct to say that there are true, real, actual scams that go on, even with the people, some of the agencies that seem to be so legit because they have this powerful mouth that seems so gracious, but in reality, really just, I don't know even how to explain it. I really don't know how to explain it. And this is why I would like to talk about this tonight. So will it sound like I'm going to be talking down some agencies, it's really going to depend on how you think about it. I am going to hold my tongue and I'm going to hold myself to it that what I'm saying isn't going to come out inappropriately, but I'm also going to tell you that there are going to be some direct points that I'm going to bring up about agencies that you're going to be looking at, because I want you to understand, for those looking for an agency, how you can actually stop yourself from a scam from the beginning, and how you know a scam from a legit company. Because a lot of people basically think simply, oh, you have a business office, great. You have a phone number and things like that, that makes you legit. Actually, no, it doesn't. You can even have a website. You can have a website, you could be virtual, you could be all over the world, you could travel, you could grow wings out of your behind, you could do whatever you want to do, and it still would not make you legit. Why? I'm going to explain why, because I touched on part of it earlier when I mentioned about marketing versus advertising. It's all about the deception of what agencies do. Okay. Now, the truth of the matter is I did share a throwback video about the BBB concept. All right. The BBB has a set of rules of what you need to do to be accredited. Now, I will tell you, most of the major agencies out there, the reason that they have some very, very good rosters of people is not just because they are known. Of course, they've been known, they've been around forever, and they continue to evolve from where they stand today. But it's also the trusting and how they operate as an agency. But what confuses other agencies is when you start confusing your line of work. Okay, so what you need to do is you need to figure out, now I'm an all-inclusive agency, so I have different divisions within it. Now, when I say divisions, I don't mean just opening up a photography club and saying, all right, this is the photography division. See, I got a really nice, beautiful photographer. Boom, there we go. We got it set, right? No, that's not really what I mean. When I talk about a division, I'm talking about, I'm going to explain to you a little bit about your staffing too, because there are certain things that, like you can wear certain hats and other hats and different things, or there may be times where you want to wear, where you just want to wear one hat. What I'm trying to do with this interactive show tonight is really get you to start at the bottom, to work your way up. And the best way to go about it is to really focus on the dreamers. Now, SLMTA has a division for dreamers. Okay, dreamers are new faces who have an interest in the actual entertainment industry, that they don't want to just watch it, they actually want to be in it. Okay, well, that's great, but it's going to cost them to actually be trained up and be prepared and seen by other agencies. So that's where the big MAI comes in at when it comes to SL Models and Talent Agency, so a member agency to them, okay? But in the process of starting, that's where you want to focus. You want to focus on being a training agency. And if bookings come from that, that is fine. But as a training agency, and I'm going to tell you this because I have a full legal team that actually states this, a training agency you could even get away with even in New Jersey. because of you're not booking, you're training. Okay, there's a difference. Now, I've already spoke with regulated business about this. Regulated business says, we don't care what you're doing with your business as long as you are not booking. So I figured, well, where do I start? If I don't have the 400, 500 bucks plus $50 for every individual that's going to be an agent in the agency to actually get a test, believe me, we got to have 100. I would have to take 100-question test on the industry, and they ask questions like what I'm already giving you. Like, this is not fake that I'm actually telling you, okay? But then it even goes farther than that. Like what is a mechanical license? Like what are the different types of operations in an agency? We're going to be talking about these different things. What is a booking agency? Why is a license needed? And all these crazy questions that New Jersey would be asking you, okay? It's a little bit more than that, but there's 100 questions, and then there's about 40 questions. Like, for me to be an agent, I have to be licensed in the agency, okay? So the agency could be licensed, but if you don't have a licensed agent, then you got an agency with no agents. So that doesn't really help much. So that's where they be making their money. And then you got the bondsman taught about, well, you know, the agency is going to have to bond $10,000. So they're not technically that expensive. I've gotten one from California, an insurance company out of California, and it was $150 a year for $10,000. Okay, it wasn't that bad at all. I think your worst case scenario is that if you got about 6 people working within your agency that are claiming to be booking in any way, they all have to come up with $50 and take a 40-question test. If they do not pass that test, you're only allowed 5 wrong. Okay. If you don't pass the test, you actually have to wait another 6 months to be able to retake the test, get another packet in the mail, and then to be able to reapply. Hello, Renee, how are you? So that is where we are at right now, as far as, you know, New Jersey, New York, California, Illinois, Texas, Florida, and a couple other, I think there's like a few more states where they require a license. All right. Then once you figure all of that out, all your insurances, all that, then you want to do your research. All right. Now, here is the problem. You are going to have all kind of agents out there. There's a lot of big scams going on where they're doing all kinds of what I would call funnel click. So you get on YouTube, for example, and you get this advertisement with this woman talking about, here's how you can make 50,000. You could start your business and make $25,000 in a week. Just learn the trick that I'm showing you today, and you can listen to me for about an hour. Well, let me tell you something. I'm going to tell you this right now. If you're starting out, you're going to be waiting a little bit to see 25,000. I don't care what trick you try to do. You can even try to scam, and I guarantee you, unless you're very good at it, you're still not going to get at 25,000. All right. And I'm talking about if you're a professional liar and is able to scam every single person into paying whatever it is that you're talking about that you're going to promise them. And then it just turns out to be something that I'm speaking about today, right now, that you can just sit there for 3 hours on one night and get it all done. So yes, it is very important that you're going to need to figure out if your state requires you to have a license. But that's not the only license. You got to also figure out what other licenses you may need. Again, I was telling you about the music license. Now, there's different ways that you can get around. Now, you can go to exchange, sound exchange, I should say. You can go to Munster Cat, which is what I have for a synchronized license, but that's for background music, excuse me, as either I'm talking and what have you, but I don't have that set up with my soundboard yet because I'm waiting to get that set up still. You could also do something like SoundCloud, or I think it's soundcloud.com. And you can actually get a license where you can develop your own playlists and things like that. And as long as you have a license with them, you know, they already have everything that is needed, like with Sound Exchange and everything else. The reason that I still have gotten a Sound Exchange license is because of broadcasting, and we're going to be playing real time music on some of our other platforms, because one of my goals is to actually do a talk host show, hire some folks to actually host a few hours in the evening, a couple of days a week or whatever, and then we're going to be doing some music runs and things like that. So rather than getting in trouble doing that, we just figured we would go ahead and get the same thing that radio hosts have, where we can have the license for the year and not have to worry about it. And that's basically what is beyond us. So if you have any questions about how you need to be licensed or your productive licenses and things like that, please let me know. Put them in the comment section down below. I will tell you that's going to be a little bit more of me consulting you, more so than me actually answering that question tonight, because there are different things that you're going to have to do. I am going to continue these series during the night. Tomorrow night, we're going to talk about agency to agency affiliations, okay, collaborations and that kind of thing, because you need to know what agencies to work with. But tonight, we want you to get started, and then we want you to understand how to determine a scam from not a scam. And for the models and the talent out there, this is going to be good for you as well. And then we might turn a little bit into the other direction. But that's what our focus is tonight. So that's the first list. Then after you do all of that, then once you actually have that down packed, you will, before that even happens, well, probably after that, because you want to make sure that you have the expense. So then you got to figure out what it's going to cost you to register to the state. Are you going to incorporate, or are you going to have a fictitious name? If you have a fictitious name, that usually comes from the city and or the county. Then you're going to have to find out if your county or your city for which you live in requires the actual license. So, okay, if the state doesn't require it, doesn't necessarily mean that the county would not require it, or like cities, you know, I can name a few cities where there are states, okay, that do not require, but the city still does require the license. So be very, very mindful of that, because you're going to need to get past the license before you can even incorporate. But they're going to need to know who is going to be part of this and that and the other thing. Like the first thing they're going to want to know is who is going to be the owner of more than 5 to 10% of the company, whether it's an LLC or an incorporation. And then you're going to have to figure out from there if some part of what you are doing within your organization is nonprofit or if the whole thing is nonprofit. Okay. Now, I will tell you this, there are some audits going on, and I'm just going to leave it as that because there are folks out there, especially in this industry, that are claiming that they are this type of nonprofit and that type of nonprofit and trying to share old information that has nothing to do with the now. And it is something that they're keeping a very close eye on because you have to be sure to know how often you are being incorporated. So if you are an incorporator, okay, and there are guidelines like a LLC, for example, you have to do an annual report. Well, if they close your incorporation, do you still get the actual, I don't know, C3 or C6? Well, that you could get in some really deep crap if you are literally, I'm going to tell you this right now. You need to make sure that the incorporation is under order before you worry about if you're a profit or a nonprofit. Because if that's not in order and you have not completed like quarterly tax in the state of which it was incorporated with, you don't have the right licenses to run the corporation either, and all these things, and the corporation is not even a thing, then we could be, you could be doing all kinds of things, and that's not good. So how you figure that out is you would literally find out what state the business is in. It's public information. You go to the state of which they are in. So let's say SL Models and Talent Agency. You will go to where you would normally file for a LLC. You would actually go to the state registry and type in SL Models and Talent Agency, and it would actually give you information. Or you could even, in my case, you could actually look me up on Google and it'll actually give you the incorporation number and everything else. So it's there, there ain't nothing hiding from it. Because with any incorporation, it's going to put it out there. It's public information. The only thing that's not public is stuff like, well, they want your address because obviously they want to come and see you or something like that, but they're not going to explain like the money situation or social security numbers and things like that. But what they will do is they will show the corporation number. They'll even show you the stamped, sealed, and that kind of thing as well. So if you're trying to do business claiming that you're LLC, but the LLC is not actually registered, then you are doing fraud, business fraud, which is even worse than even trying to claim, for me to even say you're a scam, you're actually committing fraud. And that's a big offense for any of the operators that are involved with that operation. So you want to make sure that you have everything in place. Then you want to, once you have all of that, the registration, the state registration, if you're going to incorporate or if you're going to use a fictitious name, then you will go ahead and get an EIN, because you're going to need an EIN to be able to get a corporate account number, okay, with a bank. So you get the EIN, and I'm going to suggest to you that you want to actually get a senior CPA at the very least, or an enrolled agent to be able to help you to file that EIN, because if you do that EIN wrong, then that's it. And by the way, if you got an LLC and you don't even know what an EIN number is, then you've already committed fraud under tax fraud, which means that you need to find out if your LLC is still even in consideration, because it might have already closed. All right. What else? If you're an actual corporation with a nonprofit, understand this, that a nonprofit is a sector of an incorporated business, or that it is the full business thereof that is incorporated as a nonprofit. All right. If the business is incorporated as a nonprofit, then you got to be careful about some of the services that you could provide, because if you're proclaiming profits on a nonprofit, then you are dealing with nonprofit fraud. So you want to make sure that you're not actually indulging in actual, in other words, if you're about memberships and things like that, you don't want to start saying, okay, well, we're going to go ahead and start doing classes and workshops and things like that, unless it's a big part of the mission as a whole. And then if you're making changes, you have to actually, you're going to have to give that information and let it be authorized by your state's incorporated office to give you that nonprofit. Because it just doesn't, it's not just one thing and then boom, it's over. You actually have to keep going in the cycle of things. So can you do things with a nonprofit? Sure. You can do that. All right. But you got to make sure, and there's only, it depends what state that you are from. Like in New Jersey, in Ohio, Michigan, I think there's, well, yeah. If I'm not mistaken, I know New Jersey and Michigan, it's this way, but you have to renew the nonprofit. Okay, where the incorporation might still be incorporated, as long as you're doing the legal tax things that are in there, whether it's exempt or not, you still have to report the right information, because if you report nothing, at some point they're going to find you, the IRS will, and they will audit. So be careful of that. But in any case, you want to make sure that you didn't pass your renewal period. I know New Jersey, I think it's like 3 or 4 years. That you would actually be renewing your nonprofit. The first year, they would actually do it as an appeal. So in other words, so give you 1 year, and then they're going to audit you within that year. After that, then they will go ahead and renew it for the 3 or 4 years in the process of a nonprofit. And I believe even in New Jersey, and I believe this is in the Midwest as well, you could only have so much in a profit. If you surpass that, you could lose your nonprofit status. And you're going to have to know what types of accounts you're using to be able to do specific and certain things, you know? Now, the only reason that I know a little bit about this information is because I get the help from enrolled agents to help me with this. So I try to share as much as I can give, but you're going to have to get with a tax preparer to understand a lot of what I'm saying, because I cannot really go really deep into it as much as what I already am doing. All right. Let's see. Let's see how we are doing with those subscriptions. Indeed, indeed, indeed. So So folks, we are 40 subscribers away from the 200 mark. Do you think that we can make it to the next level, to the 200 mark? Maybe by tomorrow morning or something. Can we get it all the way up there to 200, maybe plus some? Can we push that subscription way up there? Let's really make it work. This is going to be awesome, awesome, awesome for sure. I wish that you guys would have done one thing that I've asked, because if you would have messaged and shared and that kind of thing with the promotional video, I'll have to check it to see. You guys could have won some money at the very least. You would have won, you know, $100 out of the deal, but still. Maybe we'll have to do it at the 1,000 mark and go from there. Okay, so at this point, we have mentioned about the processes of insurances, board advisory boards, and those kind of things. So now we were talking about incorporation and the choice of if it's going to be for-profit or nonprofit. Then now we got into EIN, but I'm going to tell you with that EIN, that's for federal reasons. Okay, EIN is for federal reasons. They don't really, you know, your annual report should be matching your state regulatory taxes on your quarterly tax return. Then you're going to have, if you have employees of a W-2, you are going to basically report those taxes on a quarterly basis for employees. If you're dealing with independent contractors, where you were actually paying independent contractors, you want to make sure that your EIN is on that W-4, so that when you send out the 1099s to anyone that was doing that, they will get the reports and be able to put them on their taxes. And that will be up to their liability of how much tax that is worth, if they have paid the taxes or not. That is how the whole tax thing works in a nutshell, as far as me being able to consult you, but I am not an enrolled agent. I'm not licensed. I'm no CPA. I'm none of that. I'm just sharing with you the knowledge that was shared with me on a basis of a person that's been getting business taxes done for years on end right now. Okay, so, and even if they're at $0, you still got to put $0 on the application. There are some things where they are going to reward you $5,000. Well, you're going to have to prove to them that you had a loss. That's where the Schedule C's come in. And you only get the schedule. I mean, you could do it yourself if you know how to do it, but you want to get a tax expert to help you to get those Schedule C's done. All right, when that end of the year comes in. What else do we have to do? Discuss. Okay, so that's the EIN. Then you go and you get a bank account, right? Because now you have the EIN, because they're going to ask you for the articles of incorporation. If you're a nonprofit, they're going to probably ask you proof for your nonprofit status. Some states it takes about a few months. Other states it could take up to 6 months, like New Jersey. It could literally take up to 6 months. You get about a year for your first tryout. And then if everything looks legalized and running smoothly, then they will then change it and you will be able to renew it for the 3 or 4 years, as I've told you. So yeah, it would be an awesome ordeal if you have projects that are nonprofit status. You want to get around the bush? then you go with someone like a physical sponsor. What is that? A company that is already a nonprofit, and they would be your physical sponsor. A good example would be like Fractured Atlas. Since we're talking about entertainment industry, Fractured Atlas is part of the nonprofit portion of SL Models and Talent Agency, because I really just don't have the time to do all the other stuff. So it would be just easier if they take care of certain things and I'm taking care of the other things relating to the agency as far as memberships for-profit sector. Now, you can do memberships as a for-profit as well, but it would be set up in a different way. You're going to have to give something in order to receive something. Well, you're doing that with the nonprofit too. The only difference is that you're exempt from any taxes and other things that come up with the products or things that you're giving away. Whereas the for-profit membership, you're not exempt for the taxes. And you're going to have to show receipts of the different things that you were getting and all that. So that's why it's important. When you open a bank account, the smart thing that I'm going to tell you as a coach for starting a business is that you want to have separate abilities. You want an account for payroll. Now, if you're starting an account like Bank of America, they want to fee you in every single direction. It's $100 for this account, $100 for that account. It's $100 this and that, and you got to have so much, or you got to put in so much or spend so much. So what happens is you're going to need to know what the bank is asking for up front and avoid the fees. You're going to have to figure out the tricks between that. So, for example, let's use Bank of America. Bank of America tells you that you need a minimum of a $100 bill in every financial account that you open. Now, I will tell you that you're going to need at least 3 of them, because you're going to need payroll, right? The payroll works with the taxes. Then you're going to need business organization or some kind of operations account. And then the other thing that you're going to need as an entertainment agency is an escrow account, some kind of account with big dollar, is that agents, well, not agents, but clients send money into to pay various scenarios. This escrow account is how you end up taking different payments and put them in different variations. We'll explain that in a few moments. I'm just kind of going quick right now to explain this. So you're going to need to be able to do that, and you have to figure out what account is going to be best. So you probably want to start at the basic level, which is $1,500 that you're going to need monthly, or you're going to have to spend $250. Well, if you got payroll, that's easy. $250 is a piece of cake when it comes to payroll. Operations expenses, yeah, I mean, unless you don't pay no rent, everything's given to you and nothing's going out. $250 should be very easy for you to spend, so you wouldn't have to worry about the $16 fees for those two. Where it gets tricky is the escrow account, because you probably would need to put the $1,500 in there. Otherwise, you got 60 days to figure out how you're going to get your first client that would actually be able to do a booking, if they're going to do a booking for you. So what I normally suggest in this case is to not worry about the escrow account until you know for sure that the client booking is going to be entailed. Then you give yourself the time to actually open the escrow account. If worse comes to worse, you are just going to have to start off slowly on your operations account and build to that escrow account so that you can keep the 1,500 in there if you don't have 1,500 at the top. So you're looking at about, just to start the company, if you're in New Jersey, you're probably looking at about $2,000 worth of investment to start a entertainment agency, a modeling or talent agency, a booking agency. Okay, and that's just to legalize everything. We're not talking about legitimatizing anything yet. That's just to legalize. Okay, because it's going to cost you at minimum $300 for every deposit. Each account does come with a savings, but you're not saving the money unless you're dealing with miscellaneous. At that point, then you could put miscellaneous funds into savings. And then at the end of the year, you could roll that out to put back into the business, and then that would be a deduction. I mean, you got to be a little bit smart when you're doing these things, okay? What else? Now we're going to talk about, wow, the purpose and the plan for the agency. Because that technically is going to be your motivator if you're wanting to start a new agency. I will tell you, as if you're planning on starting a new agency or you're wanting to become an arts administrator for an agency, this is some of the key things that you're going to have to look for to know if the agency is legitimatized, besides an office, okay? Is it registered? Does it have the licenses that it needs? Now, don't harp on an agency over the licenses unless you know that it is a state that requires them. Like, in other words, don't go to like Tennessee saying, well, let me see your license, because Tennessee right now doesn't operate on booking agency licenses as of yet. All right. Now, there are places that are looking at things and making changes, such as a couple of states in the Mid-Atlantic region and all of that. So you're going to have to keep in touch with your city guidelines as well as your state guidelines when it comes to booking agencies, and whether or not those changes are being made, if they still require licenses or what have you. I know that there are some states that are also requiring certain conventions and how they work that have licenses as well, because the booking process is being promised through the convention. That is not a good, healthy situation. Let me see some, because I don't know what that was. I don't know. Okay. So, yeah, you want to keep those little small details in watch, okay, so that you're not messing anything up with your creation, with what could literally be your baby, so to speak. Okay, now your purpose and your plan for your agency. This is where we're going to be talking more about the legitimacy of the agency and where you want to focus on consistency. Okay. So in the let me do a real quick commercial break, since this is the perfect time. Do not forget to subscribe to the SLMTA community on YouTube. where you could be getting some great information, tutoring, coaching, etc. Also live concerts, live shows, different things that are happening, classes as well. We are developing more of a sophisticated, all-inclusive platform to be able to make this work. We also have a www.patreon.com/SLMTA membership site to where you can become a member. And we had a few members that did sign in today. So that was great. Thank you very much. That is very well appreciated. We have actually one VIP that had signed up. Excellent, great news there. But also we want you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. That is SL Model and Talent Agency LLC. Okay, it is the gold icon with the red ring around it. When you do find us on YouTube, subscribe there. If you like the content that we are sharing, if it's helpful to you, then great. Smash that like button, comment down below with any questions, concerns, comments, anything, right? We can answer them in the next recording. And definitely, hit that notification bell when you do subscribe so that you can definitely get alerts when I do become live again. That is also going to be an awesome thing for you as well. We have very big events coming up, and I think that it would be nice for you guys to be a big part of it. So again, do not forget to subscribe. We are reaching 200 subscribers already within just under a week. It will be a week as of tomorrow that we are going to be literally hitting 200 subscribers already, just on our biggest hit show, which is our night show, interactive night show with SLMTA evenings. And we do have some very, very great topics that we talk about. Now, I'm not going to say that they're always great. Yes, I could step on toes here and there, but a lot of this is coming from the psychology of entertainment business and the leadership role book that I've been basically working on for, it's a piece of even the thesis and also the dissertation that has been approved, which is actually part of the workings of this, because what I would like to try to do is actually make this into a textbook when it comes to arts administration courses. It's a very, very important subject matter that does require a lot of things. And I've been doing a lot of interviews, phone call. So I've been working in agencies. So a lot of everything I'm telling you is wisdom and knowledge. So definitely look into those things. I'm going to be doing I'm going to be also breaking the book into easier sections and then selling them on Kindle via Amazon. So that way then you'll have different component to the discussion of the actual textbook, but it will be written more like a discussion and dissertation rather than a textbook where you're going to be sitting there reading and studying and like asking questions after each chapter and like reviewing and etc. Because that's kind of like how I have the book right now. Unfortunately, because my real plan is once SLMTA is completely set up and I have everybody in staff, I'm going to be focusing on this book and doing live workshops, seminars, and also teaching in colleges. So that's what the next step is going to be. So And the teaching in colleges is kind of going to be a focused in dream, because it really just depends on the college and their acceptance if they actually need another adjunct or whatnot to teach. But to sell the textbook to schools is going to be very interesting, to say the least. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean that in a very good way, because it's a pretty big, thick, packed book, about 500 pages or so, plus exercises. There's about 120 different types of exercises and statistics, tricks that you can learn in the industry that will actually help. So it's a very, very good, refined book, for sure, for sure. Okay, so now I'm going to continue on in the explanation of your purpose and plan. So when I discuss planning, in this case, just to start out, we're talking about your original plan. You're a dreamer, you want to start a booking agency. I'm telling you the steps that you already need to take, the reality of getting your business set up, so that before you even waste the time on the plan, you will already know the first steps that you need to take in order to do that. Now, there are different sections of my book of what I'm discussing. This one comes out of the section for entertainment agencies. There are venues, there are museums, there are galleries. They are all other different things that I'm going to discuss as time goes on. So there's going to be a whole lot of me discussing what I've written in that book, okay, that you're going to be understanding. And I'm going to try to make this be simple for the average person to understand, because the book is written in a way of a master student. Unfortunately. So I want to dumb it down. This is going to be the course for dummies. No, I'm not calling you a dummy. I'm just basically saying that it's an easier way of understanding the book, that I could just explain it in simpler detail for you. Okay, so the plan that I'm talking about is what is involved in the plan itself. Then we'll talk about strategic planning, which is more or less future planning. See, SLMTA, we focus on a 5-year plan, on a strategic plan, and we're already booked into 2 years. All right. So we're not going to sit around and this like, okay, so now this is how it's going to be. No, we set the guidelines. It's going to be like this. Let me tell you something. Things are going to be changing when ANCA gets in there. And I'm going to tell you right now, right now you might actually think, oh, that's just you wasting time on the air talking about American National Guild of Performing Arts. But believe it or not, that's going to hit you as a surprise. It's probably going to be legislation where you'll hear it first. Why? Because there are certain things that the whole entire legal team of my company and the union that I'm developing and all that are like, this is a big problem, and they see it. I'm going to explain some of these big problems that we're seeing right now. Now, I've talked about excuses last night. Tonight, we're going to talk about broken promises. Well, I think I know what broken promises are. Yeah, you probably do. But let's talk about it in the way of excuses, not in the way, oh, hello, Christian, how are you? Welcome back. We're not going to talk about broken promises in a way of the way that you think that term means, but we're going to talk about it in the sense of the excuse of the broken promise. Okay, which is actually going to be the biggest thing that a lot of scam-like agencies will do. This is going to give you a big hint about how to handle scams out there. Let me give you an example of what I mean, and I'm willing to actually put myself on the line to actually do that. So let's say that SLMTA is doing a contest. It's going to be the choo choo bikini contest. All right. So we get all these individuals coming up, and I'm saying that we got every single bikini photographer out there that is ready to book them. We got the major Hollywood star ready to sign them. We got the biggest mentor ever ready to coach you. And then we got the biggest name brand ever, fashion designer, and the biggest scholarship that, by the way, it fell off the face of the market. God, that's even the worst case scenario above all things. And we are just ready, and it's rocking and it's popping. Man, we got 400,000 people that's looking at this thing, but only 6 of my roster is showing up on it. Okay, now I do want to slow my roll when I speak of this. Okay, because there's one thing about, starting from the ground up, that's one thing. But to sit there and overexert yourself, you would know what is fake and what is not. Okay. That's why I do a lot of these things on purpose. I'll sit there and literally, it's like never mind, I'm going to keep that one out off my lips. Like, using my example, you can literally tell that it's just too good to be true, right? Too good to be true. Wow, we got this top mentor, the Hollywood star, it's going to be this and that. We got like blah, blah, blah. But then all you really actually see is maybe a photographer and the same 6 people with the same exact picture, nothing different, just the same old stuff, right? The same old situation. And you're trying to get bookings, and you say that this person's doing this and that person's doing that. And the next thing you know, I start investigating, like, is this person really a client? Like, that's what I start wondering. I'm serious. I start wondering now because I'm thinking to myself, like, okay, I don't know my ABCs, but I'm in 3rd grade already. Really? Prove that to me. So how you get out of that situation is you basically tell them, okay, I'm interested. See, I like to have conversations, so I will do that. I will sit on the phone for an hour to an hour and a half to 2 hours to whatever long it needs to be to literally prove a point. And the biggest point that I would be proving is, well, how many people are actually going to, how many people will actually submit the choo choo bikinis based off of that? I could fake it as much as I want to, but how many people are actually going to literally buy into that scenario? Even if I could prove that a wonderful looking girl wearing a bikini was actually signed by, say, Calvin Klein's like female section or something like this. Okay. I couldn't even still dare to assume my position for that. Why? Because that's like the one girl that have done that. But here's the other thing. There's that one girl, is she even signed by this agency? See, that's what you gotta figure out, like what the agency is actually doing. So when it comes to this, you're going to have a catch-22. Okay, I've been there, I've done that, I understand that. So first thing in your planning that you're going to have to do is you're going to have to figure out how you could develop a roster while you're developing clients. Because most clients are going to be asking for the roster. Now, some clients will be willing to work with you if they actually see the trustworthiness, meaning that you're actually coming out clear and straight to the point with nothing. If you're coming out with nothing but BS, but then, then the client will be reluctant to work with you. So what I normally do, I look back at who actually signed. And sometimes I even look at those who have the potential of actually signing and then actually still share with them, because the whole point of that is developing what they provided me already, because they have given me a photo release, and I will keep trying. It doesn't matter. Nothing is stopping me from not trying. Except that the client says, I don't know, we'll sit on this for a minute and we'll figure it out, type of situation. I don't know. Whatever kind of closed excuse that the client will probably have. If you want to know about what I meant by that, go to last night's video. I share that pretty simply with you guys last night. But on tonight's recording, it's really going to be about you figuring out how to do two things at one time without you overexerting yourself. In other words, don't post pictures of people that are either was once your models and no longer is, or by the way, that is still a copyright infringement via photograph. If you're posting things after the person no longer is there, if that makes sense, because they have no idea of what you're doing and what your actual advertisement is to them. We did explain advertisement earlier today, but what I'm going to explain tonight is how you can find the scam in the advertisement, and what you want to do if you want to participate, how you actually can participate legally without actually indulging in the actual scam, if that makes sense. Like if there is one, I'm saying, versus the one that is more legit. You would know the difference between that. Sometimes you have to go with the fact that if they're claiming that they're going to be with this, so just give the client the call and say, hey, I see that there is and you can do that. There's nothing wrong with that. You can actually contact the client, give them a call and say, I see that there's like this event going on, and this agency says that they are the host for it. Of course, the real question would be, is it true? And what do I need to do if our agency wants to participate? What's the legality to participate in? Because some agencies, you will hear one story from one person, which is the client, and you'll hear another story from the agency. Okay? Because the idea, the intention of the agency is the same one that you want, which is that you want to be able to build your roster But how do you build a roster when you have somebody else's client to an agency that is actually doing the same thing? There's a conflict in there, right? So the only thing that you can do is you're going to have to find out the underlying issue, and that is, will that agency be able to sign an agency-to-agency agreement that states that the model is responsible for whatever these fees that they may be talking about? Because that's what's going to happen in the long run. The only way you can get out of the conflict of interest is if there is an agency-to-agency agreement, meaning that in this case, if we would be participating, it's one thing, yes, we will agree to copyright laws and things like that, but we need to know what the end result is going to be. So we only have a piece of an agreement. We don't have the full agreement. You see where I'm getting at? So if there's only a piece of an agreement, you don't sign something that's only half-assed. You actually have to sign the full thing. And the full thing is the end game. The end game, because everything in the front looks good, okay? It's like you go into the green grass, but then there's some dirt, burnt grass or an empty pod sitting there, or there might be a hole waiting for you to fall in if you don't watch yourself. So you have to figure out what you're going to do about that particular situation. So I don't want you guys to be rushing in. I've learned that. I don't want you guys to be rushing into like, oh, I'll participate in this showcase. I'll participate in that showcase. I'm going to go ahead. I see a contest. I'm going to go ahead and do that. Because here's the other thing, even for those of you that are new with SL models and talent agency, okay? You might see different contests that are going on out there, but you need to know what the end game is. Because if you entrust SLMTA, but the result is, oh, well, you're going to now end up signing with them, or you lose that part of the package for that award, then that kind of really sucks. Or you can't get no bookings because their agency don't have the authority to be able to book you, which is actually the truth as well. That's a whole nother legal thing that you need to understand as well. Because the only way you can get an authority to be able to book someone from a mother agency is if the contract is written with the model and talent from the beginning, written in the right way. I'm going to actually show you a real example, not our example, but a real example of what a mother agency contract looks like. And then that, if you're not reading that, then you might want to run. It's the best way that I could put it. If you're not receiving a contract from a mother agency, now a mother agency is different from a training agency. So you got to understand that part too. What is a mother agency? Where does it derive from? Well, SLMTA is a mother agency to any of our models who are actually being transferred or getting jobs from clients overseas. Therefore, they need a link to overseas, or we need to have an office overseas in order to be able to book that job successfully. That's going to be a whole nother topic, because as a new agency, you would not be prepared or ready to actually go international. And you would need to know, if you're a real agency, you're going to need to know if that agency is legit and how you're going to figure that part out too. It's not just about starting an agency and saying, okay, I became national, boom, let's go ahead and start an agreement. Also, I want you to understand this, that bias, non-bias is a close excuse as well. It's probably one of the biggest ones out there. Why? Because there is infringement of what was biased to begin with. The underlying issue is, well, if it happened to me, why can't it happen to you? Again, it really goes right back to the kindergarten years, is what I call it. That you basically need to know how to work with everybody and not be biased. So at the same time, there are these closed ideas of, well, we have special arrangements over here, but over here, well, like, you know, you will also know if different places are trying to set you up for a rivalry. What does that mean? This means where you might have two or more individuals trying to figure your agency out, to then try to consult in a way that they will look bigger. It's like, I call it just a waste of time. It's not something you want to entertain. How do you figure those things out? Well, that could go all kinds of ways. You can deal with a situation where two people, where you have an agency that wants to introduce you to another agency, or introduce you to some other person within the industry, and then while you're speaking with these different people, they're basically on the same topic, but coming around it different ways. And yes, I'm saying that very directly. Why am I saying that? Because their goal is to try to make it look as if they are doing right, to try to use law to convince you that you're doing wrong. And they don't even know the first thing of it. They actually look at it as a joke. Okay, I'm going to give you an example. There are so many things to copyright than even, and trademark is a whole nother different type of law. Trademark is what the slogan and the brands are. But see, SLMTA, we keep copies of everything that we do with the dates of when we originally started everything and all of that. So that if somebody would have come along and try to say, oh no, you did copyright infringement, guess what, buddy? Here's my thumb drive that actually shows the origination of what I'm actually talking about. So where's your thumb drive that proves that it happened 30 years ago? See, you can't mix computers up. Computers give the dates. So people don't realize these things. Another thing, it may not even be copyright. It could be something like where they leave one thing open on purpose for you to go ahead and jump into it. And then when you jump into that situation, they say, well, you agreed to blah, blah, blah. You see what I'm getting at? If it benefits them and there is nothing to benefit you, you need to run. You need to run. I'm going to tell you this right now. The fly is not even fast enough. Your blink of an eye is not even fast enough. So you're going to have to figure out how fast. What I would do is not even entertain it. Don't even get close to it. There are times where I don't realize certain things, and I will see certain things and then I will run to it. And then it's like, okay, as soon as I feel attention, and when I say I feel attention, what I mean by that is as soon as I feel that there's a discord, where somebody is they're trying to take control, but in a sly way. I basically just run away very, very quickly. Now, there is this term out there called keep your friends close for your enemies closer. And so what you have to do in this business is you have to watch what you say and what you say, and then who you know and what you know and things like that, because there are some sly communicators out there. They will communicate the sale as if it was like the fake it, like the night's dream and stars falling from heaven. I'm telling you. They will know how to do it. In fact, in one sense, I know how to do it, but I just like to do it in an honest way. I have to. Other people say, well, that's not the way that you get a sale. Well, okay, so you're fake and I'm not. That's what you're basically telling me. If you read the implied language of that, that's what you're telling me. Because you're saying that in order to get the sale, I'm going to have to sit there and actually blatantly lie about something. No, I'm going to tell you that this is what I need and this is what you're going to get. I mean, there's nothing to really sit around in a bush about. It's going to be up to the model if they're going to want to do it anyway, because let me tell you something, once they sign whatever they're going to be signing, they're going to see the truth in it. So what's the point of even trying to lie up front? You think you're going to get the money by lying? I tell you what, I mentioned this and maybe I need to bring this up tomorrow in a show, in a throwback video. I don't know. But I've mentioned this many times before, that I'm an individual that will make or break if you're going to be involved with me. And if you're afraid of it, of course, you're going to try to intimidate me with like different things of law and different things like that. Like, okay, there's this concept of many blessings, beautiful blessings, and all of that. Like some of us are even going as far as saying, oh, you know, God is preparing the plan and all of this. Now, I like that if you're going to show the faith's value that God is in it. But if you're going to put God in it, and then what you're basically doing is just a show, and it's not really showing anything, then basically, in a real sense, and I hate to really say this, if I'm stepping on anybody's toe, then you're denying God, which is probably one of the, I'll let that be between you and God to figure that out. I'm not going to be the judge for that matter. I don't need to be. I'm just saying, if this is the party that you're trying to encourage, then it's probably something that you might want to stop. Or if you're going to continue on, I'm the one to basically say, okay, look, I got enough evidence here now that I know exactly what it is that's going on. Go ahead, try me. Because it's not about selling. You need to be booking if you're a booking agency. Okay, so that's the one thing I want to stress out for you guys. You're a booking agency, then you're going to book. If you're a training agency, you're going to train, right? Right. And you would actually make money training. But what happens is some agencies are set up where they got all their eggs in one basket. So they're a training agency, they're an agent, they're booking, they're memberships, and they got everything going on. Now, that is the same way that is true with SLMTA as well. Okay, we do have all that. But we separate them in real divisions. The division, when we say divisions, we're talking about this particular thing is this, and that particular thing is that, and then there's categories and subcategories within that. It's not to divide everything up on purpose, you know, like a bias scenario. It's just so that the average person that wants to know what services is good for them, they would know that they would go to the beginners if they're a beginner. And that they know that they're not going to be able to get to this next level without having that. Now, okay, another thing that I do not entertain that new administrators do not want to get involved with is when you sit there with meetings and they spend hours on end talking about some kind of a program that fell off the face of the earth. Are you kidding me? I just play dumb. I just go in with the conversation. I'm listening. I'm hearing it. I'm like, yeah, you know, this is awesome. It would be awesome if I could actually know that the thing still exists, or are we just dreaming out something that maybe that we could develop or redevelop? Like, I'm hearing names of people, and you know, I try to hold my tongue back. I really do. I'm going to be very serious when I say that. I hold my tongue back when I hear people that have, and don't get me wrong, okay, they had a wonderful life, okay, and they had a wonderful business or whatever. That's great. I love that. All right. But that situation isn't there. We're in a now. Now, I don't know what you're talking about 50 years ago, like this, and this. And I'm going to tell you right now, I don't care how direct a person really is, but I don't entertain the fact that if you're going to be about control and you do not want to put yourself in the now and you're stuck in the past, because that's another way that you're stuck in the past. It's not about all the negative. It's just really about, like, if you're stuck in your business and you're trying to figure out how to grow, but you're still utilizing things from 50 years ago, you're never going to get anywhere. You're going to need to know how to move into the now for a lot of things that you're doing. I mean, I wish that I could be much better for you. And what I have to tell you, but unfortunately, I'm at the point where I am a little bit stuck in how to. There are people that are considering. This is what I need you to understand too, by the way. It is actually very important. Do not think that because something works for one person, that it's going to work for you. Because the mentality is, it really just depends on the intention. So if your intention is to grow money, and you're doing, and you're saying you're a booking agency, then I'm going to tell you right now, you might want to be in the venue business, or be just a training agency. Because running a booking agency, you have to do the work. You have to find the clients. You have to be able to book the people. And it's the same way with the models and the artists. so that they have to do the work to show the proof that they are ready. Not just by telling me, hey, when am I going to get a booking? Am I ever going to get one? Well, when are you going to participate in some of the activities that the agency has? Because that's what you're going to really need to focus on. A lot of our live events are even virtual now. We would have different clients listening in. They don't have to sit there the whole time. They will pop in at various times. At one point, I didn't even realize who was a client versus who was like a friend of mine on Facebook. So these are different things. I'm going to stop right here because there are some things that I have to get done before the night. But these are some things that I need you to put your mind at ease on that I think are going to be very important for you. That will help you to establish a real agency. We're going to talk about agency to agency tomorrow night, but I'm going to tell you right now, it could step on some major toes, especially those of you who are already running agencies. It really just depends on if you're doing it right or if you're doing it wrong. Now, if you're doing it wrong, I mean, okay, however you are doing it, let me put it that way. Do understand that when I am communicating here, that these are suggestions that are relevant to today, how you establish business. I don't care about 50 years ago with a company that no longer exists. It doesn't make any sense. You want to develop scholarships, then tell me about scholarship programs that are happening. Because I could tell you one way that you can get involved with scholarships, but it's going to cost you some work. See, here's the problem. If you can't get money out of it, it's probably the reason why you're not doing it the right way. You're trying to figure out how to make a dollar and make a sale. I understand that there is some psychology to that as well. But if you're actually, you got to understand what business you are in as well. You're not selling beauty products. You're actually selling models and talent to clients. Unless they're JCPenney's, Macy's, or something like that, they really care less what kind of a beauty product you have for sale. You know what I mean? Or if somebody is going to provide that product or whatever the case may be. If you're a fashion designer, you want to get with these fashion stores and manufacturers. It's not just about having fit models on the side to go and fit them to size different people. You're going to need to know if someone's going to be interested in that. Or are you trying to make a dollar by trying to say, hey, I'm going to have you fit your designs and I'm just going to claim the design and I'm setting it up. See, I'm finding these different types of situations in the community that I'm basically trying to tell them, look, you got to up your game. And that's what I'm basically trying to say. I don't know. I don't really care. I honestly don't care about the level that you're thinking that you may be on, or if you're down here or up here or whatever. But if I'm researching the names of the companies and different things, and you're trying to say that this thing's been around for 60 years, then I should be able to see in open records that that was there for 60 years. So if it wasn't, then there's something wrong. Don't sit there and you know, and this is what I call cliche statements. That's what they are really called, cliche statements. And then you got all this propaganda of trying to sell something, trying to make something look more than what it really is. Okay. There is a point where you want to do that in advertising because it piques the interest, but you want to be creative in the way that you do it. But you don't want to overexert it because you still have to remember that these are things that people are saying, oh, well, I hoping that this is actually going to happen. Like, am I going to get a client that's going to sign me in? Or am I going to get all this that you're talking about? I'm going to look like the queen of Jabit. I'm going to be like, woo, okay, I'll sign that. Say, what's the fun of it? You know, it's $100, okay. You know, I'll put in $5. Who cares? I don't know, right? I will tell you this though, if it's a client to agency relationship, when it comes to you developing a events, in the end, you're going to find out it's the client that actually wins. So, and then you're going to actually start realizing in the hard way, and then we'll be hearing the next set of story. So, well, you know, I made a mistake, and well, we have to keep moving. Here's the mistake. The mistake is that you actually did something that is right, but it didn't benefit in a way that you were hoping. That's what a mistake was. But it really wasn't a mistake. It was actually a blessing. It just didn't benefit you in the way that you thought it was going to be. See, SLMTA is okay with that. I would really like to have clients sponsor many different, in fact, we had that happening with Motor Pageant, Stargaze Festival. Oh, you'd be surprised. Oh my God, you don't even know. There are things that are not even said out loud live yet, even on the major markets. I'm telling you that. I'm not kidding. There are still, in fact, I've even had a request with a film producer about partnering with us on an event. And the thing is that, yeah, it's going to benefit them. My benefit is that if they get booked, then we got a win-win. Because that's what a booking agency is supposed to do, book talent, not sit on dollar bills. I mean, yes, you got to make money. Don't get me wrong. You do have to make money, but the reality, the real game with a booking agency is to be able to book talent. You won't make the money. Believe me when I say it. When you start getting big clients like Calvin Klein and Fendi and Gucci and all that, I mean, yeah, I hear some places saying, oh, well, I'm working with this agent who has signed with Gucci and J.C. Penney's and Macy's and all that. But the reality is, did that actual agency book in those components? Or is that just you saying that you have something set up with whatever? Well, my voice travels, I think. So you have to know how you are speaking as well. You want to talk about copyright? Let's talk about certain things such as some of the things that I've seen with some of the things that were going on previously, okay? One of the things that SLMTA learns is that I have to know what the benefit, if I'm gonna do an event, say with J.C. Penney, all right, I'm using it as an example. I need to know what the purpose of J.C. Penney's is, what we're getting out of it, how they are intervening with the program and where we are with the whole thing. Then we have to figure out how it's going to be sold. If I turned around and said, oh, well, so our top clients were sold at JCPenney's for many bookings, and that we are now doing a live fashion show or whatever, then I'm going to tell you right now, it does look like a lie. Why? Because that's not really what JCPenney's is doing with us. What they're doing is just saying, here's some samples of new clothes that could fit, and we would like to have a fashion show that will showcase these designs to build our actual brand up. Well, if that's what you agreed with, then that's how you need to advertise that, not the other way around. All right, that's how it goes. The same way when SLMTA, I'll use a real example now. We actually have a fashion designer, Brandon Moody, who has 4 collections of Bailey Nottoway out. I'm not going to say that SLMTA now has 4 collections from Brandon Moody, even though that it says from. It still doesn't mean the same thing. And it can be very well confused. So what I would be saying is something like this. SLMTA congratulates our partner, Brandon Moody, with his designs, Bailey Nottoway, for entering in an agreement to a fashion show and a showcase. That is how we do it. And there's nothing wrong with that copyright material. Why? Because I'm basically outlining who the actual designer is and that it is his stuff and that we are actually collaborating on a project. Anything else beyond that doesn't matter. It's business to business. It's professional to agency or vice versa. All right, so then you just keep that thing moving. Same way with Ashraf Talsi. He is a top model. But if I had him going to another agency to teach a workshop, you know, you're going to have to be the one that have to pay him his due. So believe me when I say that, he is one person that is well worth $5,000 just for one workshop. He's already done it. He's been there and done it. He is worth it. You will have to pay him something like $5,000 as a supermodel for him to go to your agency to actually do a full-blown workshop with your agency. Now, there are some agencies I'd be speaking with from time to time, and they're so focused on the fact that their platform is so correct that they don't want to spend the money, but they want the money coming to them. I gotta tell you, you gotta get out of that frame of mind because reality is about to smack you. I'm serious. You have to get out of that state of mind. There are big agencies that would really enjoy paying that kind of money to Ashraf Talsi to do a workshop because he will show the reality of what it is. He's already told me, several people that I was just showing random pictures to of some of my friends, not even those that are on the roster. And he's like, they're never going to make it to France. But now I asked him, it wasn't just that. I was like, well, what do you mean? Well, it might be a dream that they want to go to France, but France is looking for particular models and they have to have specific looks. And there is a term that he was using about like of how to look like a model. It's not that you want to be one, but that you have to look like one. And then so there's things that I'm still learning. Even though that I think I know everything about the whole entire industry, I am still learning to this day, even after writing over a 600-page book. In fact, I think I'm probably going to end up adding to the book before I even get decided to actually do anything with it. Why? Because, well, everything, the truths of everything that is happening. And certain things change. So as things change, you got to be understanding how to focus and to be able to evolve in a way that it's relevant to today. Now we can sit here and talk about things like fake news, right? I hope I don't get in trouble with this, but I'm using this as an example. We could sit here and talk about fake news, but here's the reality. The only thing that would be fake is the hidden piece is never seen. So if it takes you, that's why I tell you, don't underestimate yourself, but don't overexert yourself. Okay? Why? Because you don't want to put yourself on a pedestal and thinking that you're going to have the best platform in the whole entire world and that everybody should bow down to you and worship your idling of your platform and that this is the it factor. No, it's not going to work that way. In fact, I kind of chuckle at it and laugh every time I hear about it. First of all, it's a boast anyway. You don't want to be boasting, especially if you are Christ-centered. Second off, you don't want to, you want to make sure that you are focusing in on the direct patterns of what it is that your specific platform is doing. So yeah, if there is specific things that pertain to your platform and how you do business, then it might work, but it may not work for other types of businesses. But we are starting to see where people are adapting this idea of, hey, come follow me and listen to how you can do it like this and get $5 million. Really? This is, first of all, entertainment industry, it is show business. So I'm being 100% professional here when I say this, all right? You'll get $5 million when your worth comes in with the work that you're doing. So if you're going to take the easy way by trying to sell stuff that has hidden secrets to it, good luck trying. So um, this is basically where I want to leave this right now. I want to leave it in the perspective that when you are thinking about developing any kind of business, this is more of a general for starting any kind of a business, but there were some scenarios where it was related strictly to entertainment, as far as booking agencies are concerned, like licenses and bonds and things like that. But as far as any business, you want to be sure that you have a very, very good, precise plan and that you have a very good purpose. Your purpose is your true intention. And if the only motivation that you have is to make money, I have to tell you, first of all, this is a very high competitive market. That's number one. Okay. Number two, you want to make sure that once you figure out the high competitiveness of the market, that you can figure out how you can collaborate with other agencies. There are some agencies that will not do agency to agency. They will just have the contract signed by the model, so will not even deal with that. They will just say, look, if you're booked by another agency, it's your responsibility to pay us 10%. That's what they'll basically say. And that's actually the legal way of really doing it. We'll talk about that more tomorrow when we talk about agency to agency agreement. So it's the real way of doing it, but there are some agencies that like to twist the platform because they're looking for a way to make an income, and they make it impossible for actual agencies to partner with them. So they'll use the close excuse, our models will not sign with you, okay? But then the real intention behind that is that they would like you to give them the actual client so that they can go ahead and split the cost of the actual booking. But then you end up turning around like, for lack of a better term, screwing yourself in the back end. So what you need to do is let them figure out how they're getting their own clients. And you need to have a real actual agency to agency commitment. Otherwise, just leave that agency alone. Don't even bother with them. They're not going to worry about you. Believe me when I say it, they're not going to worry about you. Especially if they're in their mindset, it's going to be a money game. They are not trying to worry about anything unless it puts $1 in their pocket. And it doesn't matter if it's price center or not. There are spooks out there that will spook you to hell and back before you actually figure it out. So I'm just trying to get you out of the issues that you're in. And I'm one that will break it. Believe me when I say it. It's just that it just depends on how much you're going to take. I take a lot, but it's going to depend on how much is going on out there, where I'm going to be seeing this and continuing hearing the same stories and conflicts and things like that. Usually at some point, it's just a matter of me saying, okay, look, somebody other than me is going to have to indulge in this situation. You might be surprised who will actually sign up for your services. You don't know who could be auditing and who could not. You know what I mean? That's what I'm getting at. Like with the BBB, they're constantly, they have different things that they do as a criteria for accreditation. And then I have to follow them, but they have different people that do different things. And, you don't know who could be watching or hearing or listening or whatever. And it is true. It's all about who you know. The best way to do this is if you're already working with friends like I did, right? Ashraf Tausi was actually a very good friend of mine. And if you're working with a good friend of yours already and they've been getting bookings all along, then they are the ones that you want to keep, because through them, like him, if it wasn't for him, then I pretty much would not even know what else is going on out there. That's where I'm getting a lot of the regular from and things like that. Now, I will also tell you that there has been one or two what I call soothsayers who will actually try to communicate with the individual as if it was like collaboration, and the word will get back to me. Let me tell you something, okay? Do not try doing that. Do not try getting into illegal negligence and deception on someone that is with someone else's team already. Okay. It's not going to work. And I do get the names, I do get the feedbacks and things from them when those things happen. Okay, so, and if you're gonna try to do a collaboration, then speak to me. What are you doing trying to go to somebody else? Because with him, he's gonna tell you straight up, because I've seen it already. There are some folks that claim that they're pro models, and he can tell by looking even at the picture if they're a pro model or not. So, I mean, all right, I think I have lifted him up enough for you to actually understand that. But that's what you need. You actually need a support system starting in that will not cause you to give up, because these things aren't really about causing anyone to give up. I'm just giving you the realities of how an agency is formed from the get-go and what you need to do to realize a scam from a real agency. All right, because like I said, there is nothing wrong with having a training agency. Where it gets mixed up is when you're actually sitting there saying that you're a booking agency with saying that you're a training agency, that you're also that it's one thing that you're an executive director and a trainer or a coach, but then once you start saying, oh, you're an agent as well, then that starts going into a whole nother field. And you got to make sure that the platforms are relevant to what the actual situation is. So you might be stepping out of your platform. You might be thinking, oh, well, you still need training. But then you have this client saying, oh, no, we want them. And it takes it right out. See, SLMTA is actually set up on purpose that our platform moves you up or can even move you down, depending on if you were trying to come to me at one level, but you're actually at another level. There's been those situations already. But you're going to have to know how to run your platform. But I'm just telling you that the client, so the ones that really determine in the forefront of who they want. Yeah, and I do see a couple of questions that are rolling in from the Instagram side of things. What I'm going to really actually tell you as far as international, that's going to be one of the last things I'll even ever talk about. But in short, you need to make sure when it comes to international business that the agency is internationally recognized with the U.S. Embassy, for which that agency is from. Because you can turn around and say, oh, this person's from the Pacific Island, Guam or wherever, but the reality is that any agency that is approved on United States waters. It's a whole nother process that you got to go through. Okay. Even for me to actually, that's why I'm saying that I'm not there yet. It's happening quicker than I thought it would be, but it's not there yet. We are wanting to open an agency in France, and we're actually, I'm communicating with Ashraf about that because he actually has an agency there. But in the meantime, we are working the details out with other agencies in the surrounding areas, like in Italy, Spain, Germany, France itself. That way, then we have enough pool that will accept the fact that SLMTA is entering in. So that's where the SLMTA became world renowned. So we are basically almost set up to the point that we could literally set up a convention tomorrow, plan it out tonight, and everybody would show up. I mean, that's technically almost like how this thing is. But, you know, I'm going to do what I'm going to do. I'm not going to do it on purpose to like Artist Gala, for example, is going to be the SLMTA's version of a convention. But it's going to be done in 2 times of the year. It's not going to be done during when other conventions are happening, you know? So there's nothing to worry about in that perspective. And it's going to be the same. It wouldn't be any different than, say, I don't like this whole thing. Now, this is where it's of my opinion and not necessarily law. I don't like the idea, at least yet, until ANCA gets into the picture. I don't like the idea that there are situations with territories and that different, how do I want to say this? Like, there are certain things like all of a sudden that just come out of the woodwork, okay? Like you can't do certain things, you could do other things, and this is like this and this and that. Because what it really boils down to is what they're trying to do is actually trying to, again, force feed a way to try to take control. Conventions are like any other convention. Everybody is there for the same purpose, okay? But you have different reasons of showing up. So I could be having a piece where people are showing up to want to be represented, whereas another division of mine, we could be there because we're looking for pro model. But at the same time, there are casting directors looking for the same thing. You got other agencies, national agencies that are looking for the same thing. You got other agencies that are bringing people in. And then you got all the models and the artists. What are they doing? They're competing because they want the same awards and they want to also be known and seen by these agencies. So what makes a difference what Artist Gala is doing? I'm going to tell you the bottom line. It's because it doesn't give them the control, and it's almost as if somebody else is looking for a benefit for something else. So the conflict of interest is really, we're losing money on this. They're getting prepared for that. That's what a conflict of interest comes in. But see, here's the problem. I'm a complex thinker. Some people, they're just stuck in a simplistic mind. That's fine. That is perfectly fine too. I'm not saying that everybody has to be like as complex as me, but I know how to multitask. I know how to sell on one thing and to convert to another. And let me tell you how Artist Gala works. It works in a way that ANCA is going to be adopted. And that is through our support system. We already have the support system going through Artist Gala. What does that mean? Artist Gala pays for itself. We don't need memberships. I mean, while we have the memberships, we got the sponsors and all that. But in the end, it really just depends on the way how it rolls. Let me tell you also what Artist Gala does that's different from other situations. We don't compete in the sense of allowing people, well, actually, no, that is true. There are folks that will be seen by other clients, and that will happen actually. So let me be careful on how I say this though. The focus on Artist Gala is more about a situation that sounds more like a Grammys, not as a person that is training. Does that make sense? In other words, that you're taking yourself as a professional model and or artist already in the industry, and you are actually competing for that next level, which actually almost puts you into the fact that, in other words, let's put it to you this way. I have an email, a very specific email that's going to be going to places like Grammys. All right. And I'm just going to go as far as I'm not leaking no more information out. Because the recognition and the credit must be due where it's due and its profession. Okay. But on another level, there are conventions out there for new faces, and that is what the focus is for we call it the June through July series, which is our performance readiness programs and different programs like that. Okay, where you have about a year to go through all the educational things, and then right before graduation, your last thing that happens is you actually being not prepared. You've already been prepared through the whole year, but that you're actually ready to go to MAAI. Okay. Then after that, a week after that, you are certified as the SLMTA performer of whatever your genre is. You actually get to walk down a red carpet, graduating with your certificate from SLMTA's educational panel. At that point, you have already moved up to that next level. There is no point in doing anything else. So it's a formal, actual graduation that you will get from SLMTA. What I actually am trying to do is pair up with Actors Equity to see if maybe, again, this is not set in stone. I would like to try to see that our program can be qualifiable for the union. If they say no, then it's no. If they say yes, great. We have something that we can add to our roster, or not to our roster, but to our platform. I'm pretty sure they might have some restrictions on how certain things can go with the education and blah, 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 so on and so forth. But that can be tweaked up. It's not going to bother the situation of any prevention that we're involved in. It definitely won't bother us with Artist Gala because they love it. Artist Gala group is, it's more of a formal group. Like you actually have to show up now with references and stuff. We changed our whole guideline for Artist Gala, which is why we hadn't even mentioned about it right now, because some of the submissions that we were getting were kind of, they would have been a conflict of interest. They actually belong as a lead to our membership package program to get prepared for MAAI, not for an Artist Gala. So that's where we're at. But what we would like is for the other conventions to be involved with Artist Gala, because that is a brand convention. It is basically the only other step in the process outside of actually winning a Grammys, Oscars, or Telly or something like that. You know what I mean? Um, we even have an arts administration award for the top arts administrators, but you have to meet certain qualifications of the Artist Gala to be able to do that. What are some of them? Well, I could tell you this much. Listen back to the early parts of this video, then you'll know what some of the guidelines are. Because everything that I was telling you about the purpose and plan for your agency is all the most legal things that I can provide you. You're going to have to provide us different things that would audit a agency, a license if it's necessary. You're going to need to provide us the proofs of your ownerships, your incorporations, your EIN, making sure that you're are appropriate with taxes. Why do we do this thing about taxes? I'm going to tell you why. It's not to figure out what money you're paying in taxes. No, it's actually to let us know if you're actually lying about the LLC being incorporated. Because you know why? If you fail on your taxes for more than a year, or you never ran yourself for an EIN, 9 times out of 10 after a year, your LLC has been dissolved by itself, especially if you hadn't done your annual reports either. So we would need to see proofs that you've actually have done that as an arts administrator. All right, all these things, there are very, very, very strict requirements. And then the real thing is, it's up to you if you want to submit for it. You're going to be sending us your bios and things like that. But that time's going to come when that time comes. That's a 2022 thing that's already booked for Miami. But we're going to start advertising that in this January coming up for our October, because that's an October event. We're not trying to build big events around events that we already have going on. And by the way, anything related to SLMTA's conventions has nothing to do with what's going to happen with Artist Gala and stuff. Let me simplify this and tell you without confusion what I'm saying. That is a professional based award ceremony convention. That has nothing to do with new faces graduating to the next level and big agencies out there, or you know, like what conventions do, where they are exposing the new talent to better benefits, national agencies and whatnot. This is where you've already been exposed by the national agencies, and we're sending formal, actual, detailed invitations to agencies. Not even new face agencies, not even training agencies would actually get this invitation for Artist Gala. You would actually be we send these invitations, believe it or not, to places like, you know, for example, Ford, Elite, and places like that, or well-established, known, world-renowned agencies internationally. But yeah. And then they actually put their best individuals, they submit them to the Artist Gala, and then we end up picking out the 5 best or whatever, and that's how we end up dealing the nomination process. So we have a year of full voting on a national, international level, and end up with this And then we end up with this other criteria where there's nomination. So nominees actually attend the award ceremony, and then it is the judges, which happens to be the big clients out there already, who actually will then take the personal vote in true time, in real time during the award ceremony. And that's when they read off who the real actual winner is of those different types of categories. So that's how Artist Gala is set up. It's definitely not even, the convention part is the workshops and things that are involved. We do have a new face part of it, but it is really talking more about the like our conventions that happen in July relating to MAAI, when they do happen. And it starts signing people up for those programs. Okay. But as far as the award ceremony goes and what happens with Artist Gala has nothing to do with that. So there you go. And the reason that I had to be very specific about that is because there has been some confusion in that. So I want to be sure that I am very loud and clear and very precise about what is going on with that, because at this point, like I said, we don't entertain the fact of anybody trying to take control. We need the control to be, what's the word that I want to look for that? We want the fairness within the industry to be adapted very clearly for each piece of the agency and those that are involved, whether it's directly or indirectly. And the one thing is I have a very watchful eye on the indirect, because usually they are the ones that are either plotting on the outside, using other indirect ways to, or excuse me, other direct ways to conceal with that. But we don't entertain that either. We basically, we kind of agree with it. And, you know, we're like, oh, okay, so, all right, I got more information. That's enough. I'm done. And then just keep it moving. So we want to make sure that we are making sense in what it is that we are doing together as a team, because that's what we are. We're an actual team. Whether we want to believe that or not. Okay, it's almost midnight. I'm actually getting tired. I'm pretty much done. So tomorrow what we're going to do is we're going to speak about the agency to agency development. That's basically going to be the title. And what you need to know and how you can figure out the legitimacy of agencies so that you can actually work with them. And there's going to be a parenthesis title, is money everything? Now that's a hypothetical question, and I'm going to give you just a little teaser of what I mean by that so that you'll have it already in place. Basically, that pun or that teaser that I'm using there, is money everything, is going to help you determine your agency to agency conversation on collaboration. Because some agencies with me don't even make it past the first level. Some do, but not all. But majority of them do not even make it past my last level. They'll give me a bunch of information, and then the next thing you know, what I'm seeing right there is just benefits to them and them how they're making money and things like that. And it's like, well, I get it, but you know, my thing is to make sure that the agency is being ran as an agency. And if I'm going to sell training, then there's a certain level. That's why I call the New Face division, I call it the Dreamers division. I think it's a fun pun. So the Dreamers division is all about the training perspective. So yeah, there's going to be different ways I'm going to negotiate with Dreamers than I would with pros. Like if you want someone that's going to be like Ashraf Talsi, I've already told you at minimum, it's going to cost you about $5,000. And as a matter of fact, for someone that's a superstar like him, it usually goes by your budget. But the minimum is about $5,000 for workshops and seminars. I'm not talking about like a 3-hour thing. It's usually about $500 an hour. Okay, that's what it would be for him. And it can go up from there. But that's if it was the hourly rate versus if it's going to be daily, like workshops and things, then it's based off of, because that is what his worth is, which means that if you want him to go to your agency, you are going to have to invest. It doesn't go the other way around. Nor are you going to be able to try to claim to me, well, what are you going to do to help do that? Well, excuse me, we have him on our side already, so we're going to sell the workshops based off of that price. It's up to you if you're going to hire him. Do you understand what I'm getting at? In other words, you have to be careful. Sometimes you got to play the game too. Be on their same side. Be like, okay, so you want me to go ahead and do that. So what you mean is that, because it'd be no different, what you need to do is you need to ask them this. Do you do seminars and workshops? And they'll say, yeah. And then you would say, okay, can you tell me how does it work? And then they'll turn around and give you everything about what they know. You're going to hear about 30 minutes worth of, all this glamour stuff. It's going to be everything and anything and everything else in between. Okay, that's fine. So then you make the decision if you're going to spend like $1,000 or whatever for this or that and the other thing, because what they basically saying is, well, my fee is going to be this. You can mark it up, and then you're going to have them come and whatever. If you ever hear anything like that, that's why I figure out what the cost of the training is, period, for the year. I book everything out. And then I start adding all the other fees, especially if I don't know like what the conventions are going to cost and things like that. Like, so if it's just going to be training, like this year, it was just going to be training. Well, what I ended up doing was booking ahead of time, already knowing that the issue with COVID was still in play. So make a whole long story short, we decided that we were going to do June to July to get ready for convention. Why? Because July is when the convention hits. June is when I could start. They'll have a full year. Okay, so it gives them a month to breathe before they have to go into the convention, but that they know that they are being prepared for something, and that is something big and honorable, and it's their first big event that they're going to ever attend, even from the showcases. Okay. But we already provide the prices in it. In other words, the agency's paying on this. It's just a matter of how much it's going to cost to be doing those things. So making the long story even shorter, we try not to overprice even what the training is going to be, despite the big name brands that we have. When we have contests that goes through, those contests are still going to show up regardless of whether the training is happening. Why? Because what we need to do, like when we say we're starting July to June, by June, if nobody is signed up, they are already late. So that means from now until June, we would have to get them signed up and ready to get to start the development packages. But we need to be at, when we get leads, now this is for anyone that's listening, when we get leads, there needs to be phone numbers, there needs to be actual things happening with them. We have that there has to be some step of communication and professional basis with this. All right. And to be honest, I'm a type of person where I don't have time to babysit. Like, hello, I'm sorry. So, like, do you know the phone number of like? I don't have time for that. I'm just gonna go and say, oh, okay, this is a thing. But there's nothing I could do with it. That's not my responsibility. I don't care how much someone thinks that it is. If somebody's going to get involved with an agency, my time is based off of the conversation that comes after I receive the phone number and or the email. Okay, when it comes to that situation. But for our own models and audits that want to actually participate in the conventions, yes, we do have protocol of what you need to do. And really, it's just very simple. We're going back to what we started before, which was the basic pictures. But if you are late on that, there are a couple other options. And that is when the training agencies, okay, that we could be partners with, I'm going to say that we could be partners with, if they decide to give you training and then you're not late paying that, then you can still be able to attend. And we're going to add the fee to the convention. So there are ways around it. I'm just telling you that for SLMTA, you would have to be registered no later than the last week of June to be prepared for July, because around July 10th-ish is when we start. And then it ends the first week of June. But the reason that we're going to be doing this as a year thing is because it's simple. You don't have to attend every single day for hours on end or none of that. It also includes all your photo shoots, so you don't have to sit there and worry about additional expenses that come with all this or none of it. The only thing that might be in addition to is if when you do go to the convention, because we will pay the original, you may have to, unless you're already signed up through our other genres, as I said, it's going to be $1,000 per study add-on. But if you're trying to do that add-on and not be able to know anything about the addition, then you could end up flunking the competition at the convention. So we don't want to cause you any embarrassment, but the thing is that we do have the add-ons available, but it's going to cost extra to do that. So what we have decided to do is just instead of making a bunch of packages, we decided to come up with one price. And if you're going to need 3 years or whatever in the payment, it's going to include, like, we have options as far as the payment arrangement goes. But typically what it would be, unless you did the add-on, I thought I had a pen right here, apparently not. Typically it'd be 30% down. Okay, that's what we normally accept. So it'd be 30% down, and we're just gonna call it even at 5,000. We decided to change the whole thing, and it's gonna happen. We're gonna be doing the registration and everything. And like I said, the last week would be the last week of June to get set up. The only thing is that this is gonna be actually for everything but the actual convention. So this year we have decided to come down on the package because we already know what it's going to cost for photo shoots and the this and the that. So for this year, until we actually know what's going on with the convention, our package is going to be at 3,000. Okay, to give us a little bit of leadway. So it's actually it's 3,500. So the 3,500 is going to be the total amount that you would be required to pay for this year. If the convention happens in 2022, which I believe that it will, but we don't know any information about it right now, that's to come. That fee will be added to it, but it's going to include the travel and the other things that you want to do. So we're going to have to play this. You're going to have to bear with us in the actual recreation of the packet. Okay, despite what was being paid. Otherwise, what we would probably end up doing is we would end up taking the best ones that would be for the convention and then just paying it up front and then making sure that you just take care of your travel and hotel on your own behalf, unless it's included in the package. I don't know. I've never seen a package, so I can't go there to tell you. So as of right now, our package starting for this year from July till June of next year is going to be 3,500, but do expect it to go up to 5,000. It could. If it does, we're not going to tell you, we're not going to surprise you on it. We're going to send you an addendum, and then it's going to be up to you if you want to do the convention or not. But we would probably still end up choosing folks to go, because the only way we're going to be able to figure this out, considering that we plan a year ahead. Some places don't do that. So I don't know what to do with it. We're already in the 2022 year, getting ready for 2023. So I don't know how this whole thing is going to work. So you're going to have to just bear with us on that. Now, if you have the money to be able to prepare for that already up front, but then it comes to the convention and you need to make payments, then fine, that's fine as well. Because we do have Miami photo shoots coming up already, but it includes everything within that, and then the training. So if you're paying for that already, and whatever is left from that, what we would do is just add that to the other part of the package, and then figure out if you already did your 30% down. If not, then you just have to come up with that other extra bit. But 30% of 3,500 is about 1,050, I think it is. Yeah, 1,050. All right, so that's what you would need to have by the last week of June to get started on your year here. We have some very good professional mentors. And as a matter of fact, when it comes to Stargaze context, your mentor will actually be pro bono and will actually happen from like professionals. Like I'm actually trying to contact different folks that either have who are excellent record labels that are now retired. It could even be music producers as well. It could also be musicians themselves, where they actually have the time to do that. And it will be within their time and the availability that you have. So we're trying to figure out what the best option is for that and get that sponsor out as well. We're working with a makeup artist as well for our spring fling. Yeah, so we have a lot going on. And yes, Moda Pageant, Stargaze Music Festival, virtual version, Pro Art Gallery, and the World Epic Talent is SLMTA. I know there's many other companies out there that either have Moda in their businesses or whatever, but this is a Moda pageant. I've heard that, I've even heard of things where there were people involved with the pageantry as well. And I'm like, well, I've never heard of it. I've never heard of it. You're giving me a name of something that I've never heard of. And I wasn't able to find it on a Google, so I don't know nothing about it. So it's like, I'm not gonna hold my breath over something that doesn't really showcase anything. So anyway, we're at 12:15, and probably my neighbors are hearing me speaking about the entertainment industry and how it goes. But you know what? It's a good thing. It's a good thing that I'm actually able to be open and honest and very direct about this industry, because there's all kinds of things. So we're going to talk about the requirements of agencies too, and some sticky points of the industry. That's going to come up in the prime time hour tomorrow afternoon. So stay tuned for that one as well. Until then, have a blessed evening, and I'll see you in tomorrow's prime time showdown.